Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell Podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. Pleased to be joined by the one, the only Carson Brown. How's it going?
It's going good, you?
Doing pretty good. So what have you been up to?
So I've been up to a lot of racing here recently. We've been doing the summer shootout, a lot of micro stuff, and a lot of super dirt late model racing. So it's been really fun lately.
Yeah. So kind of talk about remind everyone who I know you've been you've been pretty busy, but just remind everybody what teams you're with.
Yeah, so I race for Mike Marlar on the dirt super late model side of things. I race for Mike Carver on the 600 micro side of things. I race for Joe Ryan race cars and the legend car. So yeah, a lot of different team owners and cars.
So how's the summer shootout going?
It's going a little rough. Last year we won the championship in semi-pro, and we moved up to pro this year, and we've been struggling a little bit, but I think here in this last round, I think we'll be pretty good.
So what is it like just racing in the summer shootout for people that might not know?
It's very hectic, very short track. You're bumping and banging, and it's really tough there. There's a lot of really good drivers, especially in the pro division. Everyone's super close, so it's super hard to pass, and the only way you can really pass is to bump and run people in pro division because it's just super tight racing, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So So let's talk about the dirt stuff because I know you've done a lot of that. What really kind of got you into okay, maybe I want to race dirt?
Yeah, I've always had that love for dirt racing ever since we got introduced to dirt legend cars with Billy and Joe and Candace, all of them at Joe Ryan Race Cars. And I loved it from the second I was in it. And I've always wanted to move up the ranks in dirt. And I moved up to the micros and I loved the micros. And then I always wanted to drive a full size dirt late model. So I got into the crate late model with Mike Marlar. And then we did one race at Cherokee. And then since then, it was really hard to find dirt late model races, and we were planning to do about 30 races with them. And we were 6 months into the year, and we haven't done more than two races. So we moved up to super dirt late models because there are much more races, and that would be more fun for me, and I feel like I'd develop more. So yeah.
So how do you feel like you've done so far this year in these dirt cars?
I think I've only ran about 6 or 7 races, but the last race was at Fairbury, and we started like 12th or something, and then we finished 5th. So we drove up through the field pretty good, and I was really happy with that. So I think this next race will be really good, and I can't thank Mike enough for that opportunity.
Yeah. So let me ask this. It's just what's it just like being out there in a dirt car? Can you describe what you feel when you're out there driving?
It's awesome. It's really hard to describe, honestly. They're 900 horsepower, really fast cars, and a lot of movement in the cars with the suspension and how that all works. But yeah, it's a crazy sensation being out there in a super, super fast dirt car, and especially being just team owned with Mike Marlar. So that's really cool to work with him.
Yeah. So you're only 15 years old. Did you ever think you'd be running basically a bunch of dirt cars at your age?
Not at all. I didn't think I'd really be starting this young in dirt racing and just bigger late models in general. But yeah, I can't thank my mom and dad enough for being able to do this.
Yeah. So besides racing all that, so what's a typical week for you?
So a typical week is starting with the summer shootout here this summer. I'm starting with summer shootout, and then some Wednesdays we do go-kart training at Trackhouse Motorplex with Joe and them. They have a kart program that they like to do, and then we go there, we run, and then we can run the karts and run on our feet. So it's really fun training with them. And then we normally go to Millbridge at 5 o'clock, and then we race there, and then normally get home around midnight. And then the rest of the week we can kind of play on the lake and have fun there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's what has I know this summer's been a lot of racing, but how do you handle all that?
It's really hard to handle it, honestly. I have a calendar. I have Joey at Driver Fine. He helps me a lot with prepping for each race. He helps me like get everything down. So before I go to the track, I know what I need to do and how to do it. And that helps me a lot for sure. My mom and dad help me a lot manage all this stuff because I can't really drive yet. So they're really helpful on that side of things. And I have simulators and a lot of the dirt cars, there's the tracks on there. So I can train and I can work on that and learn before I get to the track.
Have you started to drive an actual car?
I have not, no. So I'm gonna be starting driver's ed this winter. So I'll be starting that, and that'll be nice to finally be able to get on the road.
Yeah. They always say if you drive race cars, you'll be pretty good actually behind the car too. So
Let's hope so.
so let's talk about what your plan is the rest of the year. I know the summer shootout's gonna wrap up in the next few weeks, but overall, just talk about some exciting things that you got coming up.
So mainly just dirt super late models. We're trying to prioritize that at the moment, but we'll be running dirt supers full time, and then we'll be using micros as a filler. And like you said, dirt late models. Legend cars are wrapping up at the summer shootout, so should be. I'm looking forward to it, and it should be a fun rest of the year.
All right. That's we'll look forward to that. All right. Well, Carson, thanks so much for coming on and talking with us, and best of luck the rest of the year. We'll check in with you again later in the year.
Thank you for having me.